right, it's Monday. You know what that means? We got a new show. Welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Podcast. I am so excited of the guest we have. But before I tell you who he is, don't forget, go to ChazzPalminteri.net to see my one-man show. ChazzPalminteri.net. Go to my restaurants. 2 big ones. Top 5 in New York, anywhere. Italian restaurant, 30 West 46th Street and 264 Main Street. Okay, my guest today. You know, certain comics, when they come out, they have their own voice. It's something about them. They're different. They're called the comics comic. When they go on stage, comics go watch them. What do you have? Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, okay, Eddie Murphy, okay, today, Bill Burr, one of my favorite comics, Chris DiStefano, Zone Style. We have a comic that's here today, a comedian, that he is so unique, so special. I say the word, he's probably going to hate me for it, brilliant. He's got his own style, and when he goes on stage, comics rush out to watch him. The great, and I mean that sincerely, the great Colin Quinn. Colin.
Thanks, Chazz. And yeah, you know, it's funny because when I started, I really was going to quit comedy, except for comedians. They kept me in the game because I would go on for like a couple of years, which is a long time.
Right.
And I would bomb probably 70% of the time and do really well 30%. And then one time I was at the Comedy Cellar. I finally got into this club, which was kind of, even back then, it was a big deal.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah. And I go on stage. It was a great night, perfect set, 15 minutes, full crowd, and I got no laughs. And I'm walking off the stage, and in my head, I'm like, the whole set, I'm like, this is it. I'm not supposed to do this. Me and the crowd don't click that often. This is a mistake. All the comedians always love me. And then the MC, this guy, Billiam Cornell, not William, Billiam Cornell goes on and goes, folks, that's the funniest set you've ever seen. You don't even know it. And he, for some reason, that kept me in the game. Because I had all this material. I thought I was being really funny, but it was just the way it was. That's been my comedians. If the whole country was comedians, I'd be in great shape right now. I'd be very rich.
No, but you, come on, you do well all over.
I do well, but
You
not
do
like
really
you said
well.
with comedians. Comedians is my audience.
Comedians love you.
Since I started.
Well, because your humor is so fucking unique and so. I mean, I saw your one man show. What the name?
And I saw yours, the masterpiece.
But yours,
all right.
Yours. The name of your show, the one I just saw.
Small Talk.
Small Talk. I mean, fucking show was brilliant. I mean, I just sat there laughing. But the thing about your show that I love is you laugh and you go, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. I would turn to my wife, go, he's fucking right. I never thought of that. And we kept looking at each other saying that.
Oh, that's great. That's the ultimate compliment.
Right.
The laugh and that. But the
yeah,
laugh first.
But always the laugh. But then I never thought of that. Shit. I mean, when I saw your show, Small Talk, I got to be honest with you. Like I was telling you, the audience was laughing hysterically, but I kept saying, I never thought of that. He's right. Me and my wife kept going back and forth. Fucking A. Yes. I mean, you got to tell me, Colin, how does one, okay, here, you were born where? In
Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Park Slope. It's not really Brooklyn.
Park Slope. Oh, no, that's Brooklyn. Okay.
I know. We make a joke. You know.
You make a joke like, yeah.
People always like, oh, Park Slope.
Yeah, Park Slope. You're from Bensonhurst or from Bed-Stuy,
right.
Red Hook.
Right.
Park Slope's a nice area. Yeah. But what I have to ask you is, when did you realize that you wanted to be a comic? How did this happen? I always wonder. One day you said, you know what, I could do that. How did this happen?
Well, when I was a kid, I was the typical cliche class clown.
Right.
The teachers hated me. The kids loved me. And, you know, because I would disrupt the class, just crack, smart, you know, just a troublemaker with my mouth mostly.
Right,
you know?
yes.
And I was that guy in class where the kids love it, but the teachers are like, you know, I remember a teacher just grabbing me as I'm leaving class, a substitute. He wasn't even a regular teacher, but then I really had fun. Just choking me against the wall. As the last kid left, he kicked the door shut and just starts choking me.
Yes.
And I'm like 12, and I remember...
They'd be locked up today.
Yeah. When you're 12, you walk out and you leave the city yet? Just
right,
grab me.
right.
You thought it was a great story.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, yeah. But I was a big mouth kid, and I was really... It was the moment I realized I could do it professionally, which you'll appreciate, I think. So in those days, movie theater, the Sanders was where we were. Movie theater was a big there wasn't 5 movie theaters. Everybody would go to the same movie, like 500
Right.
people in a movie, right?
Right.
House. Now it's chopped up.
Right.
So The Exorcist is opening. So we all go to the movies like Friday night. And for some reason, a gang walks in and walks to the front of the movie and starts just causing trouble during the previews, threatening people and just intimidating the movie theater, like 15 guys.
Right.
A gang, the colors and the jackets,
Right.
early 70s. And I'm in the middle, and I yelled something out. I can't remember where. I wish I could remember what it was. And the whole theater laughed at them. And they walked up the aisle trying to find out who it was, and they couldn't find it, and they left. And it humiliated them. But they left because somebody, and it was me, I yelled some clever joke about them or whatever. I don't even know what it was. And I was like, I made a whole theater of strangers laugh.
Right.
And that was the first time I made anything outside of my class. When you're making your family or classmates laugh, you're all in the same common experience.
Right.
This was strangers that had nothing to do with each other.
Wow.
And I made them all laugh. And that was a powerful moment for me. I still remember that.
Holy shit!
a
So that was a
powerful
moment you go, man, I could do this.
It was a really important moment for me. But in general, everybody thought I was going to be a comedian. And it just took time.
Did you know? I met you mentioned that thing the first time you said you thought you were going to give up, but then when that guy said that was the funniest set you ever heard, but you didn't know it. Yeah. So that was really the moment you said, I'm going to hang in there and stay with this.
Well, the first time I did comedy was another one of these moments where the guy I audition, I do okay, I get laughs, and I'm like addicted. 5 minutes, I'm like, I really did good. Because when you start, you have delusions of who you are. Everybody in comedy thinks,
Yes.
I'm great. I get off stage, and the MC goes to me, you're a natural. Come back in a year. And I was like, you're telling a natural to come back in a year? In a year, I'll be on TV. I'll be the biggest. You should have said come back in 10 years.
Right.
Really, to learn, as you know, the craft of anything.
Right.
A year
it
is
takes
nothing.
years. But you know what's funny you say that, Colin, because everybody I speak to, I'm friends with Chris Rock and a whole bunch of comics.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you that. I go, and I said to him once, I said, Chris, do you ever bomb? And he goes, all the time.
Yes.
He goes, it happens. He goes, any comic who tells you he never bombs is fucking lying. And that's what he said. I'll never forget that. He said to me, he goes, every comic bombs.
Yeah.
It gets less often, but it happens, he said. You don't know why.
Absolutely. And you can walk in, and you know the intuitive things with acting too. You can walk in, and if you just have a little bit of a cocky attitude, and you go on stage, and there's somebody who the crowd doesn't even know them, but they were out there really working, and you walk in with some kind of a
Right.
you could bomb right there. You
Yeah.
can walk into a hole anywhere, and sometimes the crowd, of course he's right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I never forgot that. And what he said to me, he goes, the main thing in a young comedian, he goes, it takes years to hone that craft. He goes, the hardest thing they get is, he goes, you just can't be afraid of the silence. Never be afraid of the silence, he said. I remember that.
Well, me and Chris, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and he lives by his word. I mean, he'll go up there with his notes and just be like, I know I'm working this out, and that's the way it is. And me and him started together. We literally started
Yeah.
together. We waited online. Me, him, Adam Sandler, and a bunch of other people. For whatever reason, we were all together. So
Right.
I'd see him. We drove each other back. Whoever had their mother's car would drive each other back to Brooklyn, either to Bed-Stuy or Park Slope.
Right.
And we, so we really came up in those early days together. So I know, I saw the process then they did.
Do you see any difference between the young comics today coming up and you guys, or is it the same? Still the same process?
It's still the same. It's funny. I'm glad you said that because, with tech and everything and everybody,
Right.
you still see young guys, and it still shocks me because I don't expect them to do it, with a piece of paper where they scribbled notes, and before they go on stage, they're looking at it. Not their phone, not their,
Right.
nothing. It's kind of a weird thing that they still, because we have this superstition, which everybody believes, except I don't believe it, but I still do it because I'm superstitious, which is if you don't write it down, when you write it down, you remember it better. I don't
Yes.
believe that, but I still do it.
You still do it.
Just on the off chance it's true.
If you're walking down the street or you're in your car driving or in a car in the back seat and you think of something funny, you know that if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what's great about the phone. I have notes all of
I
my
do
phone
it.
is
Me too,
filled.
yes.
Because as you learn the hard way, you're like, I'll remember when I pull over 10 seconds from now. No, you won't.
No, you won't.
It's gone forever.
It's gone forever.
People
And-
go, it'll come back to you. No, it won't.
No, it won't. And if it comes back to you, it won't be like the same.
No, it won't.
It won't.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Wow. I mean, what is there anything that astounds you about comedy? I mean, do you love going on stage every time? Is there a moment you go, oh, fuck, man, I don't feel like doing this today? See, the thing about comedy and what you do is you and what I do when I do the show, you can't walk through it. You just can't.
You can't.
You got to be on, because if you walk through it, you're going to bomb.
Yeah. And if you walk through it, what are you doing? Because we get the luxury of people get to live vicariously through you. You get to do this for a living.
Right.
And these people have to, like, when I saw your show, I'd seen the movie 5 times.
Right.
And still, when it comes down, there's that excitement for
Right.
the whole play. And if
Right.
you didn't have the excitement, but you did,
Right.
and that was on Broadway and whatever, and it just brings everybody in. You know what I mean? Especially
Right,
a big
right.
Broadway theater like that.
Right.
You've got to bring that. So that's
Yeah, you can't
You've got to
walk
be in the
you can't-
moment.
You can't.
By the way, speaking of comedy, here's one of my favorite lines in the movie. I don't remember if it's in the show, but it's one of those lines, and I was like, this should be getting a laugh, which I know people get, which is when you go, there's only 2 things you can do in jail. Lift weights or get in trouble. He goes, what did you do?
Yeah.
I read. So there's 3
right.
things.
Right. That's purposely, yes.
I know, but that's
Right.
the kind of line I love.
Yeah,
2
that's like a
things.
hidden thing that I love when people
Those are my
get it. Because a lot of people don't get it, but when somebody gets it, it's funny.
That's the kind of stuff I love.
Right. No, when somebody gets it, it's funny. And again, see, I was just going to, I just had something in mind I was going to tell you, and I said, wait, I'll wait a
sorry.
minute. Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Now it's fucking
I
gone.
know, me too.
No, when you do comedy, I mean, are you okay with putting new stuff out and you get silence?
That's the only way it works.
That's the only way it works.
The thing in comedy is it's great humility, because you realize I'm not a genius. Because you go out there and you do your new stuff and it's not ready. And the audience has to they're like our editors. So like they're
Right.
there to laugh for the most part. Yeah, occasionally you
Yeah,
get,
yeah.
somebody who's not. But 99% of them are there to laugh. That's why they came to the club.
Right.
And they pay money to laugh. So if it doesn't work, they're trying to laugh. So either you're not explaining it correctly or you haven't finished it.
You haven't finished it
And
yet.
that's what's so great, the humility of realizing they're your partner.
How many times do you go through it before you say, all right, I'm not going to do this bit anymore? I mean, if they don't laugh the first time, do you go, fuck it?
No, I'm very, I'm like, no, I can fix this. I can fix
It, right. You know what's funny? You said that. I was with a comedy, improvisational comedy group in the 70s. The New York Comedy Players, these guys, we traveled around. And there was this guy, Tom Wiswell. He died. But anyway, and we did this bit together. It was improv, but you know the improv groups, they still have bits that they switch.
Sure, right.
Not
of
everything
course.
is really improv.
Right, they're like,
But he wrote a bit that Marlon Brando was an acting teacher.
Right.
And it was a funny concept. And I was the student and he was the teacher. And the first time we did it, fucking bombed. And I said, Tom, I'm out there with fucking egg on my face, babe. I'm dying like a dog. He goes, I know this bit's funny. I know it's funny. And he was a wonderful writer. And he wrote it again. We did it again. Bombed, but some titters.
Yeah.
I said, Tom, I'm fucking dying. I'm the one who's doing the funny part. I'm dying here. I'm telling you, it's going to work. It's going to work. This motherfucker made this thing, and after a while, it became like a great bit.
That's how it goes.
And I learned something. He taught me. He was older than me, and he taught me that you could do it. It's a craft.
It is a craft. And if you're funny, like if you have a sense of humor, like obviously A Bronx Tale,
Yeah.
the play and the movie are
Yeah.
really funny.
Right.
They're powerful and deep, but they're also a lot of humor.
A lot of humor, right.
Or they wouldn't be. So that's and that's the kind of stuff where people would be like, oh, I'm sure some people would be like, no, this is serious work. It's funny. If you're not laughing, it's not quite the same. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, what's that? They say comedy is a definition of tragedy plus time.
Well, that's
I've
one of
heard
them,
that.
yeah. But look, even when you played, I was just watching Bullets over Broadway, which you were amazing at. And,
Thanks.
And you were serious. So you weren't trying. You're so funny in it. Everybody's funny in it. But you're funny because you're not going, I'm going to be a funny guy.
Oh, no.
Right?
No.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing there.
I'm playing it like so real.
Like she's yes,
Like the dialogue.
Yes.
The dialogue is funny. I don't have to make it funnier.
exactly.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
one of the problems a lot of time actors have.
Yes.
I mean comedians
Yes.
have. Comedians have.
actors too.
But I mean, comedians have the opposite problem, which is we'll go in. Believe me, for years, I'll tell you why I became a decent actor. Not that I'm great, but
We were in that movie together.
Yes.
People love that movie.
people love that movie.
Love
this
it.
Day. To this day, people bring it up. But even then, I was barely. Here's what it is. Comedians, we are always like, we have to make people, we have to do something. Like, as an actor, not to do anything.
Right.
So like you just said about Bullets Over, you're not trying, let the dialogue be funny. Your guy is your guy.
Right. The funny is the reality of it.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, there's a scene where John Cusack says to me, I say to him, he goes, "You burned down your school?" Because I'm telling you, I burned when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. He goes, nah, it was nothing. He goes, my line is, it was Lincoln's birthday, right? So I go like this. I go, it was Lincoln's birthday. There was nobody there.
Right.
And Woody Allen goes, Chazz, don't do that. No pauses. Just say the fucking line. He goes, pauses is funny. Pauses is death. Don't do.
Right.
And he was right. Because it was such a funny line, I wanted to hit it. And then I did, it was Lincoln's birthday. There was nobody there. Yeah. Much funnier. Yes. And I went, oh, fuck. He was right.
Oh, my God.
But you're right. Comedians when I act them, tend to make it, they think they can make it funnier.
They think they have to instead of just trusting. The only reason I know any of it, I studied acting for years, and great acting, but I never understood it, really. I'd accidentally be good, but that was it. And then I studied with this lady, Sandra Lee. Do you know who Sandra Lee is?
I heard of her, yes.
Little old lady. And I studied with her one time. We did this scene from After the Fall with Arthur Miller.
Arthur Miller, great play.
And she gives the girl her notes after the scene. The
Right.
whole class is there.
Right.
And then she goes, and you. She starts imitating me mugging. Because I was mugging.
Right.
I was going, like making my face. And some people would have been mortified, I'm sure. But I laughed and I was like, I finally got it. That statement, I go, I'm trying to convey with my face. Stop trying to do anything.
Yes. Just be
It was so funny. But she goes, you. And starts imitating in front of the class.
Yeah.
And they were all horrified, but I couldn't stop laughing because that was exactly it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, those little things click and
It's
then it
hard.
changes your life.
Look, great actors. Billy, I didn't know him really well, but I got to talk to Billy Wilder a bunch of times.
Wow.
Which you pick his brain, something like that.
Sure.
And he said to me, and he was telling me about Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Jack Lemmon had a tendency to overact.
I could say, yeah.
Okay, he had a tendency to, right? And he was doing the scene, and Billy Wilder told me he kept saying, Jack, less. Yeah. So he brought it down. Then he said, Jack, less. Then he went, Jack, less. And then Lemmon said, well, what do you want me to do, not act? And he says, yes. Right. And then Lemmon said, all right.
Right, no acting, please, that book, right?
No acting, just.
But it's so hard to understand that. I saw that for years. I was in acting classes, and I'm reading it. I'm going, no acting, do less. And then you do less by going like this. I'm going to move less. But you're still mugging,
No.
and you're still
doing that.
something.
You're still doing that. Now
You have to accept your body completely.
When you're not on, do you go see other comics perform?
No, but I see them at the clubs all the time. I know they act.
You know their act. That's
I
true.
see them.
That's true.
I'm always around, so I'm always seeing people's act. And I'll look on YouTube and watch people.
And when you're with a bunch of comics, do you feel like you have to be on or you know?
No, you don't feel like you have to be on, but you want to be on. Like if we see each other, we brutally, and Rich Voss, who was here, who's a friend of mine, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's always part of that crew. If we see each other and you start, like we trash each other, it's godless. It's like the kind of thing
bad. Yeah, I know. We do it. Me and my friends do that.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, when somebody starts getting you, it's like any other group of teenagers.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute. I want to see if I can, but you don't try too hard. 'Cause then
Right.
If you don't make them, but so yeah, there's definitely a vibe where you want to, you know what I mean? You want to get a laugh from your friends.
Right.
Busting balls, especially if they're attacking you. Then you really want to get them back.
Right. Do you ever get together, talk, and all of a sudden somebody comes up with a funny bit and you go, wait, that's my bit.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't use that.
No, we don't do that.
Now, I heard, and I remember from talking to other comics that the worst thing you could do is steal from other comics. You do that, and you're fucking out.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, and nobody.
Which is right.
Nobody respects anybody.
None of you guys.
But no. But I mean, but there's fine lines. Like two people do come up with the same joke sometimes. Everybody's like everybody's like an internet sleuth now. So people be like, that joke's like this person. And sometimes they're right. And I appreciate when they're right. But sometimes like you don't know what you're looking at. That's not the same. It's the same concept or premise. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. And you know what's amazing? When I see every comic has a different style. Now I remember seeing in the early '80s, Dom Irera.
Hilarious.
Fucking hilarious.
Oh, hilarious.
Would make me. He's still around, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking Dom Irera made me laugh. You know,
So fun.
Louis Petey, Big Petey, and all. He did the whole Italian thing. Okay, and then you see a guy. Like, and a lot of Italian comics are similar. They do this whole thing about neighborhoods because neighborhoods, and then Sebastian Maniscalco, who has me fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And you go, gee, you know, he's talking about similar things, but it's. I just think that some people, look, Dom is just born funny, and Sebastian is just funny.
Right.
His physicality.
Right.
His physicality is hysterical.
Yes.
You know, and they do the same joke, but they do a physical thing that just...
Yeah.
Yeah. But with you, what fucking fascinates me about you is you just do words.
Yeah.
Yo, fucking words. And you just go, you just... Where every comic has their own fucking, niche. And when you find your own voice, like a Bill Burr and a Chris DiStefano and...
Right.
You just have your own voice, and I think that's what works.
Yeah, I mean, you really got it. But yeah, you've got to do the work. Like if you're not writing all the time with stand-up, you start to just, it's like a horse race, and you see those horses start to fall back.
Wow.
That's what it looks like. Because I don't know what the energy is. Even if your new stuff's not as good as your old stuff, which is usually a lot of times the case, it's still better. Because it's that other energy, and you just watch these people fall back and get into a weird, you know what I mean?
Wow. I mean, that's such a good answer, Colin. Because
the Belmont Stakes is coming up, so I thought it would be.
No. It's such a because that's what I mean. It's like comics, It's like writers too. I mean, being a writer, you're writing. Your first few movies are great. Then you're writing. They all can't be great.
That's right.
They
That's
all
right.
can't. It's not about what I believe, and I don't know if comics feel the same way. It's not about if it's as good as this stuff. It's you just have to just keep moving forward. You put it out there, and then keep on writing and put it out there again.
You nailed it, because I remember reading a quote from Nora Ephron.
Yeah.
Who died, but it was some quote years ago. Where she goes, people keep coming up to me and going, I wrote this screenplay. It's great. I can't get it made. What should I do? And she goes, write another one. And I was like, oh, that's so true.
Yes.
Instead of just, this is my thing.
Yeah.
Write another one.
And, well, first of all, every screenplay that I ever been given is great. They always say the same thing. This is great. Wait till you read this. They all say that. Yeah. But it's, very rare is it ever great.
Right.
I mean, right. I rewrite things. I was rewriting things for the studio a lot, and the only 3 scripts that I ever got that I said I have no notes. I don't know what to tell you. Was Saving Private Ryan,
wow,
Shawshank Redemption, and recently Green Book, and we happen to have the guy here. When I read Green Book, I went, look, babe. You want me to make up something? It's fucking great.
Right.
I really don't have anything to tell you. This is a great script. And they, because I'm fucking brutal. I could be brutal. But, but when you write your stuff, like I said, when you write your new stuff, you'll work with it a few times before you say, you know what, fuck this bit. It's not
yeah, because, and like this is an interesting example, at least interesting to me. I mean, when I think about it, it's boring objectively. Right. But there was a thing I was doing in that show. I said, it's not working. I was like, this thing's not working. And then I started doing it in stand-up. I don't know why I threw it in, because I had nothing left to say. And suddenly it was working. And I was like, I'll never know why. But that some things, you probably had things 10 years earlier, and now you know how to do it. You got the muscle to do it.
Wow. Now, are you writing another one-man show?
Yeah.
You're writing another one-man show? I mean, and you did that show that Jerry Seinfeld directed.
It's my magnum opus. Yes.
What was the name of that show?
New York Story or
New York-
Long Story Short. I did 2 of them. Jerry directed.
I mean, fucking great. I mean, and great fucking. I mean, really. I mean,
New York
you
Story is
never
the one
thought
I
about
died on.
writing movies, Colin.
Chazz,
What?
I don't even know if you want to get into this. I've been writing movies for 20 years, maybe 25 years.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of scripts.
Right.
They're all similar but different, and they're all and none of them have gotten made, and I'm very angry about it. So,
But that's
it really touched a nerve.
just so. No, I don't want to. I know some of the great writers in Hollywood. Great writers never got a movie made.
Yeah.
Never got a movie. So to get a movie made is absolutely fucking insane.
Oh, but I don't blame myself. I blame them. Don't worry. Don't think I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I'm a failure." I think they're a failure.
Listen.
Trust me. I'm not taking the blame.
Yeah,
for it.
and some and sometimes you can write something that's just. I get nervous if everybody loves what I wrote. I go, fuck, man. Maybe I didn't write anything that's that good.
No, that's a good point.
You know, when I wrote Bronx Tale, everybody said impossible, it can't be done. To do a movie on stage by yourself, it's not going to work. It's not stand up. What is it? Is it acting?
Right.
And I said, fuck you, I'm doing this. You know, so sometimes you just gotta, keep on going with
I
something.
mean, believe me, I always believe that. I just keep going, but it's infuriating to
Do
me.
you consider yourself a comic first or a writer first?
That's a good question. Great question. I guess I consider myself a writer first.
A writer first.
Yeah.
Did you ever write for another comic?
No.
No, because your stuff is really you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, I feel like, here's the funny thing about comics. Even though, like, all the comics, like you said, they respect me. If I
Right.
gave another comic a joke, 9 times out of 10, even if they know it's the perfect line for their act and they take it, they look at you with anger. They don't approve. I'm the same way.
It's true.
They're like, oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But we don't like other people delving into our thing.
Can you ever see somebody goes to you, hey, listen, Colin, we got this. We love your show, Small Talk. Let's use Small Talk. We want to do it in London, but we have this other actor who wants to do it. Would you let him do it?
Yeah, I get some Brazilian guy once called me up and he wanted to do my first show, Long Story Short, in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, sure. He gave me
Fine.
like nothing, but it was worth
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No,
So he's doing it in Brazil.
Yeah, my show I did in Italy, and no, I didn't do it. Somebody had did.
I love it.
And in France,
And did you see them?
and I saw it, and I sat there. I didn't understand a word he said, but when they would laugh, I said, "Oh, that's that line." Oh,
Yeah, that's great.
But it was great.
That's great.
I'd
love to see a Bronx Tale in Italian and French.
Yeah, no, but sometimes your dialogue, like I gotta be honest with you, could you picture somebody doing your show here in America? Would you cringe if the way they did it? Would you have to direct it, or would
Sure.
you would have to direct it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm sure you know the frustration.
No, I don't let anybody do my show in America.
Right, but I mean,
don't.
even things you've written, other
Yes.
things where you're like, oh, could you say that line? You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
not saying the line right.
you're right.
I mean, comedy is so fucking. I mean, I could do a line and I'll do like a hiccup or a burp, and it's not funny.
Right.
It's not funny.
It's just what you said. But Woody Allen, what are you saying? Is just do it. You were so funny in that movie.
Yeah.
But you were so serious. If
Yeah.
you weren't dangerous and threatening in that movie, not only doesn't the movie work,
Yes.
you're not funny.
I'm not funny.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird?
It's so weird. I had to be a stone fucking killer.
Isn't that weird?
I know, and it was just. It's one of those things. You got to play the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Especially when you have great dialogue like he had.
Well, yeah, it helps, of course. But
It helps.
But it is interesting, right? That's a
Right.
general thing.
And
like-
he let me improvise.
Right.
It's very strange. He would let certain people improvise, and certain people he said no.
Of course, he probably knew. After all those years, he probably knew. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this person's got it. This person can't do it.
Oh, and he would just tell you, don't improvise. You could improvise, and I would feel like, oh,
my
shit.
God. Must be nice to have that kind of juice, huh?
Well, no, it just.
Well, wait, you could say it, and people are like, Woody Allen said it, I got to listen to it.
No, he said no, and there are times I said, Woody, I love what you wrote. He goes, I know, but do it,
Right.
do it. I got it my way. Now do it your way.
That's great.
Because he just trusted you. Like he wants to, like the original line when I kill her, I go, my original line was, "You're not ready for Broadway, Olive." Boom, boom, boom. Right. And I said, Woody, I got another line. He goes, let's say what you want. I go, when I say, Olive, your voice is killing me. Something about
Right,
the voice.
right,
And then
right.
I kill her.
Right.
And he goes, funnier. And I went, oh, thanks, Woody. So you don't know,
The answer.
Do you ever improv or change your lines when you're doing a show?
My own show
Your own show,
every night.
every night.
Every night I do something new because I'm allowed to because it's not affecting anybody else. If you're doing a play or a movie,
Right.
you can't change your line. It changes everybody's life for the rest of the movie.
Exactly. But when you're doing one of your shows and you see they're really laughing at a certain bit, do you then go off that bit and go it a little longer?
Sometimes, yeah, and usually you end up with silence because usually you get cocky.
You had to milk it too bad.
Yeah,
right? You
but
got
that's the only way to grow. That's
I know.
Like I said, they're part.
I
Of
did that. Oh,
they're part
God.
of our process.
Right.
Yep. You get greedy. We call it getting greedy.
Get greedy. Right. You know what? That was part 1. I mean, I could talk to this guy for hours. We're going to do part 2 next week. So tune in next week for part 2 of Colin Quinn.